Hi, I'm Drew Greider. I'm with the Retirement Network. So today we're going to talk about what pensions are, specifically details about the AT&T pension, which has two basic ways of collecting. One is the monthly lifetime annuity. The other is something called a lump sum. So the monthly annuity that's offered by AT&T, it's a monthly payment that you receive for the rest of your life. The other way of collecting the pension from AT&T is something that not all pensions offer, and it is a very generous benefit. It's collecting as something called a lump sum. Essentially, you are saying, I'm going to forego those monthly payments, and instead we're going to take all of those up front as one large rollover IRA. So now I'm going to talk about how each of those types of collecting the pension are calculated. Starting with the annuity, this is a little more straightforward. It's based on a lot of factors, but the main ones are the amount of income you earned, how many years of service you had while at the company, and even how old you are at that time. So the lump sum is calculated basically by, the first thing you start with is how much is that monthly annuity going to be for that person, how old they are at the time of collecting the pension, and what the interest rate is that's being used to calculate the lump sum. The interest rate component of the pension calculation for AT&T, that's the most complex part, whether you're trying to figure out which month you're using for the average for when you would retire, what's the right rate to use, and even projecting those kind of things. Those are the types of things that we work on, spend a lot of time with, and track very closely. Congress passed a bill back in August of 2006 called the Pension Protection Act. For a long time, AT&T, to calculate the lump sum, they've used something called a 30-year U.S. Treasury rate. As a result of the act, they're allowed to start using something called a corporate bond rate. The traditional rate we've used for quite some time, U.S. Treasury rate, or also known as the GAT rate, globally it's recognized as a completely risk-free rate. So as you would imagine, that's the lowest rate possible. When we start looking at a corporation rate, even though you don't see many large corporations go bankrupt or not pay their bills, there still is some risk, certainly more than the United States risk. So that rate is going to be a little bit higher to borrow for those companies. What this change in interest rate is doing is transitioning from the old rate used, which was the 30-year U.S. Treasury rate, to a newer rate, which is something called a corporate bond rate. As we know, the lower the interest rate used to calculate the lump makes it a larger lump sum value. The way AT&T has chosen to incorporate these changes into its pension calculation, they're using something they're calling a blending process. Over a 4-year period, each year they're going to begin phasing a little bit of the Treasury rate out and phasing in some of that corporate bond rate. They're going to be doing it in 25% chunks each year until ultimately the only rate used will be that corporate bond rate. If you have any questions about what was discussed today, or if it triggered any other questions you might have with your benefits, please call us or visit our website.